Introducing the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.
"58 days and 68 matches later, with a raft of records broken and having witnessed arguably the most remarkable turnaround in the 17-year history of the competition, here we are into the final day of league stage play in IPL 2024. All 4 playoff spots are confirmed. RCB, who have done the unthinkable, can sit back and savour as all other 3 teams who have qualified take the field on Sunday. KKR are assured of top spot, but spot number 2 is still up for grabs. Rajasthan Royals have their fate in their hands if they were to get the win against KKR later today, but Sunrisers will do their own bidding as they host Punjab Kings in the final afternoon game of the season, which is where we begin. The final double-header day of IPL 2024 on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout, powered by JBL. Welcome aboard as we say hello to our originals who have assembled. Tom Moody and Mitch McClenaghan, having burnt the midnight oil last night with that RCB win, and Wasim Jaffer rejoins. Wasim, I have to get your reaction on what we witnessed on Saturday evening. RCB, a season which seemed to be the stuff of memes, is now the stuff of dreams.
Yeah, I mean, they've turned things around, isn't it? I mean, brilliantly. At halfway stage, I thought they're going to be confirmed number 9 or 10. But the way they played in the month of May has been absolutely brilliant, and brilliant for the players, brilliant for their fan base, and something they badly needed. Somehow they got the combination right, and the players performed when it mattered. So, kudos to them. And it's just one of those things where when, things look really good, and hopefully, few more games for them. Not saying too early, but I mean, it's been a brilliant season so far for them.
RCB's gain, meaning CSK's pain, and just been consumed with all the reactions on social media. Obviously, a lot of emotion out there. And one of the threads going around for a lot of the CSK fans is the cost of what could be MS Dhoni's last 6. Whacked it so well that the wet ball went out of the Chinnaswamy and out came a drier ball. The funny margins in our game.
Oh, geez, you're clutching there, aren't you? Hey, look, it could have had an impact. It really could have, because that ball definitely stuck in the wicket a little bit more the next delivery. So, geez, I guess when you get knocked out and you're always supporting such a successful franchise, when you don't miss the playoffs, it's going to be a big deal. And I know you said that was an outrageous pick, Tom, and absolutely, at the start of the season, you'd have to be saying you'd be a brave man to back against CSK not making the playoffs. So I understand why the fans are kind of getting stuck in, trying to find what the reasons were, but unfortunately, RCB were just too good last night.
Yes, nice plugging of the fact that Tom Moody's season outrageous of Chennai Super Kings not qualifying has landed. Congratulations to you on that. Having now slept on it, it was obviously a lot of emotion at the end of that night, but can we safely say this is among the greatest turnaround stories we've ever seen in the 17 years of the IPL?
Without a doubt. I think they were something like 2% chance at one point to qualify. Just the way they were playing to how they ended up playing are just polar opposites. They were playing a brand of cricket in the beginning that reflected how the game was played 10 years ago, and as the game has evolved this year so rapidly, I think we've sort of had nearly 5 years in one season of development of the game and how the game is being approached. Credit to RCB, credit to their batters in particular, led from Faf and Virat at the front, and then you've got Will Jacks came into that side, and we can't forget the impact that Patidar has had on that team. That top 4 has just completely evolved overnight and have gone from a third gear cruising team to a team that's in overdrive, which is where all the top teams are at. You look at KKR, they've been in overdrive from game 1. SRH have been in overdrive, and RR, we're not sure where they've been over the last 4 games because they've lost the last 4, but they certainly have got the team balance and the dynamic within their team to certainly deserve to be in that top 4.
Yeah, and we do know what that top 4 is going into the last day of league stage play. All 4 queues have landed, but yet Rajasthan and Hyderabad fighting for the second spot. If the results were to play out in a particular way, we could have an eliminator where a team that's won 6 on the bounce meets a team that has lost 5 on the bounce potentially. But first, Sunrisers Hyderabad will have their chance at finishing in the top 2. They will be bowling first because Punjab have won the toss in this day game in Hyderabad. Hyderabad, where the last game was a washout against Gujarat Titans, so it's been a while since we saw Sunrisers playing. They will bowl first in their last league fixture of the season. Before we build ahead to that, it is a good opportunity on this final Sunday of league stage action to look back at what has been such an absorbing season. Full of records, more 200 scores than ever before, 4 times as many 250 plus scores than the rest of the IPL history combined. And so we're going to put our panelists to a tough job of making some picks at the end of the season. We've got a few categories lined up for you. Tom, Mitch, Wasim. Mitch, I'll ask you to pull that trophy closer. And there are a few chits with every category. Why don't you pick one and get us started with...
Okay. This is category, is it?
Yep.
Okay. Knock of the season.
Knock of the season. Wow.
Knock of the
so we
season.
start with something which won't be easy, I'd imagine. So what is your bet?
My knock of the season is going to be in the swing of what's happened this season in terms of the explosiveness of the way the batters have gone about their work. And I'm going to say Fraser McGurk, 84 off 27 balls. Reason being is that I think he just had an impact throughout the whole tournament, and this is probably a game where everyone was wondering whether he could keep on going. And he came out of the blocks so hot that we thought all sorts of records were going to get broken, and he just didn't look like he was going to stop. And to score 84 runs, striking it over 300, it's something that we haven't seen very often, and it's something that he produced throughout the season so often. So that's my best knock of the season.
Wasim, your call?
I'll probably pick Josh Butler's knock against KKR, that 100, purely on the basis that KKR was one of the top teams, and he was left with no partners in the last 47 or 48 runs, and he scored 41 or 42 of those himself, and there was 5 wides in that. And then he started very slowly. I think up until 10th over, he was going really run a ball 40 or something, and then he shifted gears and won them RR the game on his own. So I think that was one of the top knocks. I mean, there are plenty more, but I'll probably pick Josh Butler.
Tom?
I think I'm going to go a different one. Again, and not because I knew what you were picking. I'm going for Marcus Stoinis. 124 at Chennai. Chennai is a fortress and has been a fortress in the history of the IPL. To score 100 in that run chase was quite remarkable. I think it was off 63 balls. They were constantly under the pump, having to chase down a significant total. I think it was 74 with 5 overs left. And what you like from a coaching perspective is someone to see it to the end. And that's exactly what he did. He walked off with the big W in his pocket. So to me, that was an unbelievable knock. And I think it was the first game he got promoted to number 3 as well. So there's many layers of reasons for that. To me, was an outstanding innings.
All right. So we've seen Stoinis picked, Butler picked, and Jake Fraser McGurk picked. Let's move on to our next category. Why don't you allow Wasim to take the next?
Yeah, absolutely.
Share the game, mate.
Sure. Yeah.
The trophy is not indicative of anything.
Spell of the season.
All right. We move to the bowler spell of the season. Wasim?
I'm going to pick Mayank Yadav's 3-for against RCB, purely on the basis of, that pace actually got everyone excited, every one of us excited, bowling at 156 plus clicks, getting 3 international players out in that spell.
Yep.
And at one stage it looked like RCB will probably cruise home to a victory, but that spell actually changed the game. It was only a 3-wicket haul, but he got Patidar, Maxwell and Green out, and that's not a small effort for somebody who's uncapped player, getting 3 international players out. So I'll probably pick Mayank Yadav. There are 5-wicket hauls and there are some good bowling spell, but I think somebody who's so new to the league to come out and bowl like that, I think it got me excited.
Tom, what's yours?
Mine's to arguably the best T20 bowler in the world at the moment, in Jasper Bumrah. 5 for 21, where the rest of the team in the 16 overs, I think, went for 173, I think it might have been. So it's just such an outrageous difference between what he contributed to the performance against what others were able to do. It was a very good, I remember it as a very good batting surface, and he just showed all his skill and ability to not only take wickets but to make it very difficult for the opposition to score.
Yeah, and those wickets included Kohli and Faf to place
Yes.
RCB almost scoring 200. So Bumrah, Mayank, which way are you going, Mitch?
I'm going to go with Mayank as well, but I'm going to go with a different one. I'm going to go with the first time we saw him, the Punjab game, where all of a sudden we saw batters who were in, Johnny Bairstow and Shikhar Dhawan, jumping around like a cat on a hot tin roof, because they hadn't seen pace like that for some time. It was out of the blue, and all of a sudden they looked like they were starting on zero again, and I thought it was an incredible spell, and it was the first time we saw the potential of Mayank Yadav.
Yeah, it's a pity we didn't see more of him as he went out injured after a few games, but two different Mayank Yadav spells picked by our three panelists. It tells you what kind of impact he had. Tom, why don't you start us with our next category?
Right, uncapped player of the season.
Fair few options here.
Yeah, this is a tricky one for me because it's always nice to see a young emerging talent sort of capture the imagination of you and have an impact in that season. But for mine, Abhishek Sharma is the standout for me. I think what he has done this year consistently at the top of the order for Sunrisers has been, wonderful to watch, and I can just see him being accelerated into the Indian team in a heartbeat because he's a genuine match winner. What we haven't seen a lot of is also what he's capable of doing with the ball. So he's a great package all round. But it's been so refreshing to see his ball striking.
Wasim?
Well, I mean, there's quite a few to pick. Abhishek is obviously one of them. I'll probably go with Riyan Parag. I think he's been sensational this season. We've seen him for a few seasons. He's batted a different number, but I think his promotion to number 4, he's taken it like a fish to water. And somebody so young, he showed a lot of maturity. He's played some excellent knocks for RR this season. And I feel he's not far away from that Indian blue jersey as well. And that number 4 is very tricky position to bat because sometimes you're not batting in the power play, you're batting in the middle overs. So the openers know what they have to do, the number 5, 6, when they go into the death. When number 4 guy is sometimes, it's a very tricky position. So I think he played excellently, and he's my pick for the uncapped player.
Mitch?
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit left field, and I'm going to say Harshit Rana. Because I guess as a bowler, you watch bowlers, you watch how they adapt to the conditions, and I would say Harshit Rana bowled exceptionally well in probably the most difficult conditions throughout this tournament. Having all your home games at Kolkata and then having to go on the road to places like Bengaluru and Mumbai, 10 of your games are going to be on high-scoring venues, and his ability to not only bowl good change-ups, but execute his Yorkers and be a genuine wicket taker when his team needed it is why I've picked him as my breakout uncapped player.
Okay, that's our shouts for uncapped player of the season. Mitch, take us
you.
into category 4. I'm hoping one of these will give us a unanimous verdict.
Ooh. Player of the tournament.
I think that might be it.
Yeah, do you reckon? Yeah, I mean, the obvious answer is going to be Sun on the Rhine, isn't it? From both all those facets, but I wonder if in a week's time we'll be saying Travis Head is the player of the tournament, just because it's getting to that point of the season that he seems to stand up. He stood up in the World Test Championship final, stood up in the World Cup final. He's had season-changing knocks for the whole competition, Travis Head. So I'm going to say that Travis Head will end up being the player of the season. Right now, I think it's Sun on the Rhine, but I think he'll end up being player of the season.
We're considering players who might make a more compelling case in the playoffs. There's one, Virat Kohli, with some 700 runs. Tom, which way are you leaning right now?
For me, as the question is, player of the tournament right now, Sun on the Rhine without a question. He's had an unbelievable season with bat and ball, and I think he is the number one reason why the purple train is having a bit of a runaway season and unpredictable season that I think we all felt at the beginning of the season. KKR top 4, not sure, don't think so. And I think Son on the Ryan, the impact he's had, we always know the impact he's going to have with the ball. He's been Mr. Consistent there, but with the bat has been, it's like they've had an additional overseas player.
Wasim.
Well, I'm going to go Virat Kohli because I think for the kind of season RCB had in the first half, for him to keep them in the game, even though they've lost 7 on the bounce or 7 out of 8, he still kept on scoring. He was the only guy who was scoring runs, and then obviously he's the leading run scorer. There were question marks about his strike rate and all that, and he answered in a magnificent way. Top of the chart again, 700 plus runs. Even though Sunil Narayan, I feel, is the MVP, but I think I'll probably pick Virat Kohli for various reasons, and that being that how he turned around the season, not just himself, but the way he scored runs for RCB.
All right. Pick us our next category, please.
Captain of the season.
Captain of the season. Start us off.
I'll pick Pat Cummins. Obviously, the way he's turned things around for SRH. Last year they were number 10. And I think it was a big call from the management to make him the captain, considering Aiden Markram has won the SA T20 for the same franchise. And he has led in T20 cricket. He's not led any franchise cricket, if I'm right. Probably Tom will know. But again, he's captained beautifully. And the way he's got the guys together and everybody looks like, performing and playing like a unit. A lot of credit goes to Pat Cummins and Dan Vettori. So I'll probably pick Pat Cummins.
I'm going to go with Sam Curran, because I think when Sam Curran came into that Punjab Kings side as a leader, I think we saw a direct shift in terms of their consistency with both bat and ball. I think he managed his bowlers very, very well, and you could see that players like Harshal Patel, who'd been performing poorly previous to him taking over as captain, started to become some of the best bowlers, or started to become top of the wicket-taking pile and becoming more consistent. So to me, that return of form of a few key players was down to really good leadership from Sam Curran.
Tom.
Mine's Pat Cummins for all the reasons that Wasim sort of mentioned. I just think that he's managed that group exceptionally well. He's got players to play at a level they probably haven't imagined they could play, and the captain plays a role in that through backing them and giving them that trust. And we know that certainly Travis Head's career internationally has turned around through Pat Cummins over a year ago when he gave him that sort of backing, and I think he's given the similar sort of backing to a number of the players. Even players that are seasoned players like Unakad, who's had mixed IPLs in the past, but he's actually played a really important role for Pat Cummins in that bowling unit. So I just think what he has done across the board has been significant, and one of the reasons that Sunrisers is playing finals.
Yep. Pat Cummins with 2 votes then from our panel. Tom,
that there one left,
is
there?
The last category, which is the best match
Who's the best
of the
host?
season. The best host.
Okay. Match of the season.
Yeah, and recency bias could come in here. We saw a cracker only last night, but we've seen a fair few, quite a few.
Yeah, look, last night was a pretty unique game, wasn't it? There was a lot on it. But I'm going to go with the game in Kolkata with Rajasthan Royals, where Butler made 100. I thought that was a terrific game of cricket, and what Butlers did from nowhere, we didn't give really Rajasthan a chance at that stage, and it just showed some great resilience and belief from a Rajasthan side that they can get over the line against all odds.
Yeah, I think probably got to look at last night's game. Yeah, I know there is a bit of recency bias there, but even though, just because it had that different equation, it had that playoff equation in it, and and that playoff equation went down to the last over, and it was great to see a player who performed, unfortunately, against Rinku Singh the previous year in Yash Jha, coming back after that setback, coming back and finishing the game against arguably, one of the best finishers of all time, MS Dhoni. To see him do that on that stage for his team to go through made that game the best game of the season for me.
Wasim.
Well, I think yesterday's game. I'll probably pick that because there were so many things on the line. Both teams could qualify. Dhoni's last game probably. So I think for all those reasons and how RCB have turned around the season, and they've got 6 in a row now. So I'll probably pick that. There have been some really tight games, but I'll probably pick yesterday's game.
Yeah, no shortage of storylines on that one, and as Tom points out, the other one as well, KKR versus RR. The first time they met was one of the games of the season. A Narayan 100 first, then a Butler 100, and now they meet again in the last game of the league stage. But that comes later on Sunday. Let's now bring you news from the first game. Sunrisers will be bowling first after having lost the toss. Punjab winning with Jitesh Sharma leading them. Let's see how Sunrisers line up for their last game and their last bid to potentially finish in the top 2. Rahul Tripathi, we haven't seen him in a while, is back in the side. This is Sunrisers' bowling first 11. So Travis Head, you see him on the bench with the other overseas already there. They continue to keep Vyaskant, who came into their last game, which was a while back, Tom. But what do you make of this combination in their last game?
Yeah, I quite like it. Tripathi, it's good to see him back in the side. I feel that he's the most dynamic domestic option they have in their squad that hasn't been given a consistent run at the top of the order. And he sort of fits the brand of cricket that Sunrisers try to play, and that's that sort of dynamic, sort of boundary hitting, risk-taking game. Tripathi is every bit of that. So to me, it looks a good outfit, and I'm sure they're desperately hoping that he can sort of catch some form before the playoffs.
Yeah, and ever since they moved away from Aiden Markram, that number 3 has been a place. I mean, it's not come in to play a lot given the way Head and Abhishek are playing. But Tripathi, you reckon, is their fix instead of maybe promoting Nitish Kumar Reddy at number 3?
Yeah, I think so. I'm a strong believer of that. If a player's going well in a certain position, you don't move them because they've got used to that role, the situations they come in. And Nitish Reddy is still young in his career, so you don't want to kind of move him from into an unfamiliar position. So Tripathi's explosive. He's a million miles a minute. So you know you're going to get something from it. And he's probably going to keep that momentum going that Travis Head and Abhishek build up. So I like it. The only thing I don't like about today is that Sunrisers are batting second.
That is true. They have been doing some crazy things when they bat first. Staying on Nitish Kumar Reddy, there's something interesting that comes up if you look at the impact ratings for this season. He features quite high up for Sunrisers. This is if you look at batting impact per innings, as some totals, of course, Heinrich Klaasen comes up higher. But this, Wasim, takes into account the fact that 2 of his knocks have come when the chips have been down for Sunrisers, and is a good reflection of just how vital Nitish Kumar Reddy has been to Sunrisers.
He has been. He has batted at number 4 and he's batted in tough situations and he's taken them out of those situations in those couple of games. He's shown a lot of promise, a lot of maturity for a young guy, and he bowls as well. So he brings a lot on the table. Very good fielder as well. And he's an exciting talent for somebody who's playing probably first season. He's played 1 or 2 games last season, but he's had proper run this season. So he's been an excellent. He's been an excellent find for SRH, and he can bat at 3. He can bat at 4. He plays spin really well. We have seen that against Chahal and Ashwin. He plays fast bowling really well. So augurs well for the young guy.
One of those players and stories which just remind us over and over again that even in power-packed, star-studded lineups, the importance of domestic batters raising their hand when the chance comes proves to be a vital differential.
Oh, without a doubt. I think if you look at the history of the IPL, most teams that win it with a collective effort, and when you have 7 out of your 11 players, all Indian talent, you need your Indian players to step up, and it's even better when you have someone like a Nitish Reddy, who hasn't really, he's not a household name, suddenly becomes a household name underneath your guidance in one season, because he's obviously having the impact and winning games where you, I suppose, find yourself in a position where your main prime movers aren't moving at all. He comes in and steps up.
Yep. And his first glimpse of, the first big glimpse we saw of Nitish Kumar Reddy did come in the reverse fixture back in Mullapur, where he came in with Sunrisers 3 down early and smashed a half-century in a player of the match winning performance. Now Punjab Kings, their last outing of the season will see them have their 16th captain in their 17 years in the IPL. Jitesh Sharma leading them, with Sam Curran gone, a whole host of English players gone, which means that we also see, and I'm struggling to think when was the last time we saw this, only one overseas, Riley Rousseau, who with Nathan Ellis out, if you look at the team they played the last time, there is no Ellis, no Curran, no Besto, and Atharva Taide. Rishi Dhawan and Shivam Singh are the players who come in. Rishi Dhawan with his first game of the season, so too Shivam Singh, but continuing the trend from the entire season. Shikhar Dhawan, we saw him in the first 5 games, hasn't travelled with the team the last few times. Wasim, can we say that Shikhar Dhawan has possibly played his last game for Punjab Kings?
I think so. I think very much, very unlikely he's going to get retained. But I think those are the only players left for Punjab because all the overseas have gone. Riley Rousseau is the only one left, and Nathan Ellis, I think, is nursing an eagle. But good opportunity for few Indian domestic players. Shivam Singh is one of them. Atharva Taide gets a look in. Rishi Dhawan played few games. He's been on the bench this season. They've got a lot to play for. Obviously, like we have spoken so many times, if they put in a decent performance, few franchise will obviously keep their names, and big auction coming up. A lot to play for the individual guys.
Just going back to that Shikhar Dhawan conversation, we didn't see him after the first 5 games. We head into a mega auction cycle next year, one that begins with him having turned 39 by the time that happens. Does Shikhar Dhawan still have a future in the IPL?
He's very fit, even though he's been injured with his shoulder this season. So he's very professional, the way he looks after himself. Put it this way, he'll give himself every chance, because it's not going to be his commitment to, be prepared physically and also technically. He works hard. It'll be a very interesting decision, because I don't think people will jump out of the blocks and grab him, but I think that people will look at him potentially as, well, he's Shikhar Dhawan still in the auction. Maybe that's a good asset to have. And we've seen a lot of older players add benefit to a lot of sides. Historically, Chennai do it exceptionally well. So I think Shikhar will find a home for sure.
Yeah, I think for him to play a little bit of domestic cricket, especially white ball, obviously he's not going to play 4-day cricket, but he hardly plays a lot of domestic games. So that's going to be very, very critical, because somebody who bats at top of the order to not play any cricket, we've seen that they find it hard. So for him to play and turn up for Delhi in Syed Mushtaq Ali or even Vijay Hazare time, every now and then, it's going to be critical, because obviously the scouts will be looking. He will be fit because, like Tom said, he looks after himself. But for him to have some game time before the auction will keep the owners, excited.
Yeah, and you'll hope to see more of him. This weekend there's been a lot of conversation around people we might see for the last time in the IPL. We spoke about Dhoni. We spoke about it could have been Dinesh Karthik had RCB lost. Dhawan is one of the IPL's all-time leading run scorers, has been part of it since 2008, featured for various different teams, including a lot of years spent with Tom Moody when they were at Sunrisers Hyderabad. When you look at the way existing teams are, and this question goes to all of you, where do you think Dhawan, with his batting type, would best fit? Mitch?
I think he's probably going to be at a ground where you need to grind out a score. If I'm going to be completely honest, it's going to be a lower scoring ground. So probably looking at somewhere like Chennai, if they go back to their old surfaces, that he would do a good job there. That would probably be my number one option.
Any
Yeah,
shout?
maybe Lucknow's another one.
Yeah, Lucknow.
Where, you're not getting those inflated scores. You need some, real batsmanship.
I would say Delhi probably. Delhi, with
Yeah.
a small ground, good pitch to bat on, and he likes to play on the up. He won't mind playing on that way. He doesn't need to run, doesn't need to scratch for long. Just stand there and deliver.
And potentially with Jake Fraser-McGurk at the other end, taking care of the run rate. So no
Yeah,
stress.
just get him on strike.
Yeah.
All right, that's that on the Shikhar Dhawan conversation. The game's already underway, so it's time for us to quickly head into the impact zone. For the drill, we know how it's been going. Mitch McClenaghan having himself quite the week, landing outrageous picks.
What's happening, Tom?
Left, right, and centre.
Jeez.
I believe won 5 of the last impact zones. So quite the hot run. RCB not the only ones making surging runs upwards. I will quickly head us into the impact picks for this game. Tom, you go first. You pick your category.
I've got the privilege to go first. Okay. What do you want, batters or bowlers?
It's up to you.
Okay. I will go with Travis Head.
Travis Head. Wasim.
I'm gonna go Riley Rosso.
Riley Russo, the only overseas in the Punjab side. Mitch.
I will go with Heinrich Klaasen today.
Heinrich Klaasen. We get into bowlers with you, Wasim.
I'm gonna go Harshal Patel.
Harshal. Mitch.
I'm going to go with Bhuvi.
Bhuvi. Tom.
And I'm going to go, is it Vajakanth?
Vyaskanth.
Vyaskanth.
Okay.
We go Vyaskanth with Tom. Mitch, get us into wildcards.
I'm going to go Abhishek.
Abhishek. So, Tom next.
I'll go with Pat Cummins.
Pat Cummins. Wasim.
I'm gonna go Jitesh Sharma.
Jitesh Sharma, packing the captain on the day. All right, let's quickly get a score prediction and an outrageous pick.
I think 197. And outrageous prediction is, I'll say Pred Simram is going to get 50 off 25 or less.
Prab.
50 and 25 or less.
Should I
Mitch,
pick them then?
Yeah, I know.
I know who I'm picking now.
I'm going to say 172. And who's going to bowl well? I'm going to say Pat Cummins will get 3 wickets.
Pat Cummins to take 3 or more, or just 3?
More. 3 or more.
Cummins 3 plus, which will help Tom and Wasim.
185 and Bhuvi to go wicketless.
185, Bhuvi wicketless. I think I can take that.
Ouch.
And, all right, I will quickly take my 3 with the help of your intel, Prab Simran. I will go with Nitish Kumar Reddy, who is not picked, and is there a bowler? Arshdeep Singh could be coming off the bench, so I'll take Arshdeep Singh. Yes. All right, that has us covered. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time and for kickstarting things on this final double-header Sunday of the season for us. We'll be back at halftime at the end of the Punjab Kings innings, so be sure to join us then on Maruti Suzuki Arena. Presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout, powered by JBL. In the meantime, download the ESPN Cricket for mobile app. It'll have you covered with all the storylines from around the IPL and the rest of the world of cricket as well. We're heading into playoffs territory, which also means we're heading closer to World Cup territory. All the pieces you need to read, you'll find it on the app. Download it and see us at the end of Punjab's 20 overs.
Introducing the Epic New Swift. Time to go swifting.